Alright, y'all, in this series right here I'm going to talk about independent contractor versus being totally self-employed. And I'm going to tell you the difference between the two. Independent contractor, which means you'll probably get a 1099, and basically the 1099 is going to cover the company. So if anything happens or anything, you're supposed to have your own insurance, your own stuff, and do your own thing, but work for them at the same time. And what I'm doing here in the middle of this video is I don't have any lighter fluid. So what I did was I used some oil, right? And I took a paper towel and basically I lit the paper towel. I twisted the paper towel like a wick. This old country trick, you know what I mean? We learn to do things, different ways around here. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to turn the cap off at the same time. Now that that's going out, the fire's going out. But you see, I got some charcoals going. So it'll start there. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but that's what it is. Now back to my video. We're gonna talk about independent contractor versus self-employed, and there's a whole lot of similarities, so you're not going to want to miss this. And basically today is Memorial Day, 2019, and I got a little treat for y'all today. Now the similarities, for the most part, on this Memorial Day, May 27th, on a Monday, is the fact that when you're self-employed, well, let's start with the independent contractor. The independent contractor, he basically gets a 1099, and he agrees to work for a company, and basically they're going to go out and you're going to go out and work for them, and they're not going to they're giving you a 1099. So basically they're saying that you work for yourself, but you still work for them. So that means you have to carry your own medical insurance. You have to be responsible for paying your own taxes. They're not agreeing to anything other than the fact that you're going to work for them and underneath their umbrella, and do perform certain jobs and tasks for them. In certain cases, you're even going to have your own liability insurance to go out and work for them, and that's another expense that you will have, because they don't want you going out there messing nothing up. Let's say, or you might have to have full coverage insurance. If you're a pizza delivery person, you'll probably work for the company. But if you're a driver for a company, let's say you got a van and you're riding around town and or out of state or whatever, and you're making deliveries in a van, for people, as a contractor, for Rite Aid, or you're bringing stuff to and from companies, that would be a 1099 job. And basically you sign a piece of paper, you give them your ID, you do all that stuff, but you're not really like working for the company, and you don't really have full control, because they're giving you the jobs and the list of things to do, whether you're riding around doing this or riding around doing that. There's so many different things that you could be doing. So so we're going to talk about independent contractor versus self-employed, and I will also drop some jewels at the end of this to tell you certain jobs that you might want to be part of as an independent contractor, and make money. I know being a van carrier, one of the requirements is you have a van, preferably a cargo van. It could be a white van, and it could be any, whatever the company says that you have to have. And then you're delivering, it could be for a mom and pop's auto parts store. Let's use an example for that. It could be for a mom and pop's auto store. They're not as big as Advanced Auto and all these other places, that have a fleet of Advantage Auto Parts and stuff like that, and they don't want to carry all the responsibility. So that gets you to drive, to the junkyard or wherever they get their parts from, and or if it's a paint shop, and bring the stuff. Okay, so that's one example. And also, but let's get to the self-employed aspect. The self-employed aspect, the downside to that is you're totally 100% responsible for how you're going to eat. The company's not providing you the work. On the 1099 part, the company's providing you the work. And I got to back up off of this grill because this thing is really smoking me out over here. But let me go up a little bit. But the 1099 part, because this thing's starting to pick up. Okay, there we go. There we go. So anytime you want to light a grill and you don't have any lighter fluid, you know, I got this down here. This is oil, regular cooking oil, and I wrapped it up in a towel, like a paper towel, like a wick, and I put some, you know, a vegetable oil on it, and then I lit it. It takes a while for it to light, but if you don't have any lighter fluid, then there you go. So that's what we're doing here. That's another little tip for y'all today. A way to get it lit. We had to look that one up on the internet. I ain't gonna lie to you. We didn't just come up with that one out of thin air. But it works. Might take me 2 years before I can eat, but it works. Okay, so let's get back to the video and what I was talking about. We're trying to get something going here right now with some grub on this Memorial Day, but I'm gonna drop some game on y'all at the same time while I'm out here. Alright, so as far as being an independent, as far as being a self-employed, you're responsible for your own work. You wake up in the morning like, where am I gonna get my next meal coming from? Me, I was a landscaper for over 15 years. You might as well say 20 years. I was doing landscaping so long, but I was self-employed. I would go out and ride around neighborhoods and see a yard that needed to be landscaped. The grass was tall, whatever the case may be. You can go to my How to Get a Bag in a Rural Area. I talk about the landscape business. One of my volumes of How to Get a Bag in a Rural Area. But you know, I was responsible for keeping myself above the water. It wasn't like a 1099 job where they give you a list of work to do and you go out and do it. And you know, with the 1099 job, you can still get fired. You don't do you don't keep your productivity up to their level, you're fired. Landscaping, you know, you might tell a person or tell me you don't want me to come back to your house again. You're maybe not happy with what I've done, which that never happens, all right, because I was so good at it. Let me toot my own horn. But you know, you still can go to another person and go cut their grass or do their mulch or flower beds or pressure washing or whatever it is associated with, you know, they call landscaping. But with a 1099, like a independent contractor, you're going back to the same places every day, or you're working for the same company doing the same thing. Where if you're you know, doing landscaping, unless you have a contract, when you have a contract to do landscaping for people, basically you got to come back to that job and you have to perform all the things that you normally perform under contract, under like a 1099 form or some kind of independent contractor agreement. I tried to stay away from that as much as I could, although I did have some contracts and I worked for people in the contract for, you know, the stability part of landscaping, but that was only like a few people. It wasn't like a whole bunch of people, right? So that's another thing. So basically, you know, that's the difference. That's one of the main two differences. Different jobs. If you're a truck driver, you got your own truck. You're driving a tractor trailer. They're basically telling you where to go. Your truck, you're paying for your own gas in your truck. You're doing everything. You know, you're driving. You're making your own schedule. But the only difference is you got to be there at the time. You know, they want you to be there. You got to keep up with the schedule. That's the 1099 independent contractor thing. You got to be responsible out of your check for the maintenance of your truck. But if you do it like, let's say for yourself, you know, and you're just making deliveries for whoever, Let's say you work for you're an independent contractor. Just say you're working for, like, let's say Purdue, right? And you know, you might be driving the Purdue truck, bringing the chickens to the job, and working for them and getting a check and getting, you know, benefits and all that stuff. Then let's say you drive your own truck. You might make a little bit more money, but you're not going to get the benefits. So you're not really making a whole bunch of money, because then you got to pay for your own benefits and all that stuff. So that's the difference between having being an independent contractor and being totally self-employed. Being totally self-employed, you got to worry about when the phone's going to ring, you know, all that kind of stuff. You know, your friends might be getting a Christmas bonus or whatever. They're an independent contractor. They might have done a whole bunch of deliveries. Wintertime, they still getting something to eat. You're sitting there like, damn. You know, I hope I you know, put something away so I can, you know, I can eat, because I got to get through these couple of months. You know, it's a little rough when you work for yourself 100%. You know, but that's the difference. You know, you don't have to put up with a whole bunch of bullshit, I guess. You know, and this, that, and the other. But that's part of that, you know, situation when you're an independent contractor versus being totally self-employed. All right, y'all. I won't keep y'all out there the whole time, you know, staring at a grill. You know what I'm saying? But you know, another thing, you know, with the independent contractor thing, you know, they might keep some kind of record of, you know, what hours you made, or how much money you made, and all that kind of stuff. You know, they might keep some kind of record of that with the independent contractor thing. You know, but when you're self-employed, ain't nobody gonna keep no record of nothing but you. You know, when you're a independent contractor, right? They might and you got a 1099. You can sometimes go to them and say, you know, they're gonna send you a 1099 each year. They're gonna let you know how much money you made. They're gonna let you know, you know, how many jobs you did, all that kind of stuff. They ain't gonna do no taxes for you, but they will give you some stuff to help you to do your taxes. Where when you're totally self-employed, all that stuff's on you. So you got to figure out all that stuff for yourself, for real. You know what I'm saying? They both have pros and cons, you know, straight down the middle. You know, to me, if I was to rather be independent contractor, self-employed, or work for somebody, you know what I'm saying, 1, 2, 3, you know, it all it all depends on the year and the month and the time and the things, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes when you're working for somebody for real, when you're working with somebody, you know, I work part-time. You know, I was working at a lot of times when I worked independent contractor or self-employed, I tried to keep some other kind of gig going on. You know, I worked at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. You know, I was a part-time. I was a service agent. I only worked, you know, 3 days a week. I worked, let's see, when I worked. I worked Monday I worked Monday all day. I worked Wednesday all day. No, I worked Monday all day and Thursday all day one week. And I worked Monday all day and Friday all day the next week. And then I rotated, but I always worked Wednesday a half a day. So that was gravy for me, because I pretty much had Tuesday to do my thing. I had a half a day Wednesday, and I was either off, you know, on a Thursday or Friday, something to that effect. I always worked a half a day Wednesday, and a Thursday and Friday was either or, but I always worked that Monday, you know, or, you know, something to that effect. I think I had it right the first time. I started off, I will always work that Friday. Always worked half a day Wednesday, and I started the week either on a Tuesday or a Monday of each week. So that's pretty much how that went, and I love that schedule. Then I had another job. I was working at what was it, Lillian Vernon. You know, they was big on the internet and all that stuff. You know, if you from Virginia, you know what it is, or even if you're not from Virginia, you Google Lillian Vernon. You know, it was a national, worldwide company. We made all the stuff during Christmas time. They did the hiring, and during the season it was their biggest season, but they kept, you know, year-round employees. But you know, to get hired full-time, they hired hundreds and hundreds of people for to work part-time during the season, and then laid you off. And you know, sometimes you might go get unemployment, sometimes you might do this, sometimes you might do that, you know, whatever. But everybody knew what that was, and I'd grab something like that each year. You know, if it was a job doing Christmas tree, at least till you pretty much get the hang of, you know, how it goes. Like when I did landscaping, I tried to stretch it throughout the whole year. You understand me? I'm the only one that stretched landscaping throughout the whole year. In the wintertime, it was either a little contract that I had going on or a couple guaranteed ways to make money. I had a building that I cut the grass, but then they had me do the mulch, and then they had me paint the building, and then they had me, you know, when the governor came, they wanted me to come down there. I was working for Chesapeake Bay ASAP. So when the government came, you know, people had their DUIs or whatever, this, that, and it was a government place. I was tight with the owner, not the owner, but the director. You know, shout out to Lloyd Young. You know, he the one who put me on with this landscape thing. You know what I'm saying? He put me on for real. You know, and you know, I did it all. You know, we did tile work. We fixed the building. We did, if they needed some boxes moved with a hand truck or papers taken to the shredder, I did it all. A lot of people don't know. You know what I mean? And it might be a car lot here and there or some stuff. You know, whatever I had to do. You know. But then in the wintertime, get back to my point, there was Christmas lights to do. There was leaves. Why would you want to, you know, be a person who, you know, during the wintertime, you got Christmas time coming, right? Why you want to have, you know, leaves all in your front yard, you know, Christmas time? Let me get my camera right here. I might be a down or up or something, you know what I'm saying? Don't feel like I'm... Alright, there we go, right there. Alright, so why would you want to, you know, look outside and you got leaves everywhere, all over the yard? You know, that ain't attractive to people, for real. That ain't attractive to people. So what they'll do is they'll have me come by, and I'll take a backpack blower, me and a few guys, you know, shout out to, first of all, I want to shout out to my Aunt Nita, because this grill I'm using right here, this grill right here ain't no joke, you know what I'm saying? She gave me that a few years ago, you know what I'm saying? Also, I had some guys come out with me to work. You know, I'd have, you know, my cousin E, you know, I'd have my cousin Alan come out. I had Jerome. Yeah, I had Jerome. Everybody knows Jerome, right? But, you know, shout out to Jerome, because, you know, he's a hell of a worker, for real. And, I had Nick. You know, Nick was you know, a white dude, bald head, looked like Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know what I'm saying? When he was around, you know, you ain't never had to worry about getting your money, for real. You know what I'm saying? He was like 6'10", could have been a linebacker for, you know, the Indianapolis Colts. You know what I'm saying? And then I had old Win. You know, Win liked to drink a little bit. You know what I'm saying? A little, you know, talk a little shit. But he Win was Win. But you need, when I work with Win, you had a man and a half. But you know what I'm saying? It was what it was. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Win, though. I hope he's still doing all right. Got off the subject a little bit, but you know, that's the difference between being self-employed versus an independent contractor, or working for a job. You know, working a job for somebody. They all have pros and cons. You know, if you're working a job for somebody, your money guaranteed. So check this out. You working a job for somebody, right? When you done working your 40 hours or whatever you working, your part-time, whatever, you done. You come out and cut the grass or whatever it is your household chores, go spend time with your family, you done. But it seemed like when you working self-employed, you working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Anytime the phone ring, you go out there putting in an estimate. You know what I'm saying? You doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? You putting in an estimate, you doing whatever. This damn smoke is getting in my eyes, and I got mosquito wick burning for the mosquito stuff right there. So I'm really getting, I got smoke on this side from the grill and the mosquito thing right here, and I got to keep them both close by because the mosquitoes will eat your ass up out here. And I got some spray around here. They must have took it in. No, I got some off over there, whatever you call it. Yeah, off deep woods. But yeah, where was I? I just get a little bit excited talking about this independent contractor thing, you know, self-employed thing, first work, because I know the difference between all three. And all three just mean, you know, when you do your job, whatever it is, you know, you might come home. I even met firefighters, you know, people who are firefighters who work 4 days, 10-hour shifts, but they still was out there driving, working a part-time job. The other 3 days they drove, you know, they drove an oil truck. You know, when I was working in a company as a driver, had a CDL. They drove an oil truck. I saw a guy, you know, the other day. I said, "Hey man, you interested in doing any side work?" "Man, I work 40 hours a week already, man. I can't do it." You know, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I'm saying? But hey, you never know. Man, probably, you know, got a lot going on, you know what I'm saying? You got the 40 hours a week, you know, you got you got the kids, family, all that kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, a lot of times, you know, I know people that will work all night and then come out with me the next morning and we out there getting it. You feel me? For real. You know what I'm saying? That's where I come from. That's what we do. That's regular, you know what I'm saying? But I'm talking about how to get a bag in a rural area. I'm not talking about how to get a bag back, you know, from my area or my era or my era, whatever you want to call it. The era, which is like the time or space that I was doing this type of a hustle. You know what I mean? Plus, I was a lot younger then. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about right now. I'm doing, you know, I'm doing what I do. You know, so I'm trying to help y'all to get a bag in a rural area. You know what I'm saying? But I still can do it though. Don't get it twisted. But that's all I got for today. I ain't gonna ramble on. You know, I'm just talking about the difference between 1099, totally self-employed, and then talked about, you know, working a regular job, you know, 9 to 5 or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? And I tried to, you know, I hope you get from this video the difference between, you know, all three. And I'll try to drop some links, you know, on my video about, you know, some places that you can get those kind of opportunities in the description. So like and subscribe. It's Grind Time Media. I'm out.